I'm with the Filipino-Canadian Center of DC, and I'll be facilitating this afternoon. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the Calayan Center and to this forum on prospects for peace and democracy in the Philippines, 1 month after the Philippine elections.
Waking in the morning, one can hear terrifying news on the radio. People in numbers are getting massacred. Every paper reads red. Is it only a game to kill people and continue human rights violations?
Gising sa umaga, narinig niya sa radyo, balitang nakakatakot, pakinggan.
Now, the whole idea behind the International Observers Mission is to observe the midterm election that took place in the Philippines this 2007. There's a serious concern by progressive organizations and progressive party list groups in the Philippines about the state of the elections in the Philippines, and they set out an international call for the international community to respond to the need to observe this I guess everyone would agree that when I say elections in the Philippines, it would have a bad connotation right away. I've never met anyone who can tell me that there is fair and democratic elections in the Philippines, even though that it was promoted by the present administration that this election was the cleanest election that ever took place. Now, our security team informed us that this individual was part of the 64th Infantry Battalion and he was working as a military asset in that battalion. There's list of voters. Local residents were missing in the list. They were complaining that they wanted to vote but they can't because their name wasn't on the list. A woman, the one on top, the picture on top, this woman was complaining that her husband's name was still on the list when he was already dead for some time. Oh. Now there, on the lower part, the picture on the right-hand side, this woman was complaining that her name was not on the list when her husband, who is already dead, is still on the list. The other one, a woman, was complaining that her name was not on the list when she has both the canvassing in Sariaya, Quezon. As you will see on the picture, the ballot boxes where the votes were placed or the ballots were placed are outside the canvassing room and it's not being guarded properly. Most of the boxes that you see are actually open and are not locked. Now, the chairperson of Sariaya was unorganized. He was pretty incompetent in terms of setting out the rules of canvassing. He was lacking. Now, what we observed also when they were doing the canvassing was zeros were not placed on the paper when there were no vote for each candidate, which will cause problems later. Because if you don't put the zeros when there's no vote, later on you can actually put any number you wish to put on those papers because it's already blank. So this is a major problem. What we observed is that a policewoman was getting tallies on the canvassing, which is not allowed again inside the canvassing. This policewoman is the same one we saw before we entered the canvassing area. So what she did is she took up her upper uniform and proceeded to the canvassing area, thinking that we wouldn't recognize her. But unfortunately, she forgot to take out the lower part of her uniform, so you could see that clearly that she was an officer. Now, what was surprising also was the Batas party list got no votes or 0 votes, but at the end, or in the end, there was a total of 52 votes at the end of the sheet. Batas party list is the same party list that General Jovito Palparan has founded in the Philippines. Now, the picture of the young woman on your right is a member of the poll watchers of the Kabataan party list. We interviewed her on the report that she was harassed by military personnel. This was done through text messaging. She actually showed us the text message that she received the night when they were doing the canvassing. What the text message said is that we congratulate Bayan Muna and other progressive party list groups which are associated with the CPP-NPA. You should be more careful and make sure that you safeguard yourself. So it was a direct threat to the young women's safety. So what happened is that after that, you can see these police officers were armed inside the canvassing area. Now, only foreign delegates were allowed and 2 documenters were allowed to go inside the canvassing. Next slide, please. Now, in Pagbilao, Quezon, we didn't manage to actually enter the canvassing area. The place looked deserted when we went, and the canvassing was behind closed doors. There were no poll watchers inside the canvassing area. There were heavy presence of military and policemen in the vicinity. Reports of poll watchers not being allowed to enter the canvassing hall was reported to us. The chairperson himself, when our team talked to him, confirmed that they did not allow any watchers inside when the team tried to go in for observation.
For there to be peace, the killings must stop, and those responsible must be held accountable for these murders. In order for there to be democracy, there must be a restoration of the respect for human rights and the rule of law. To paint a picture of what it's like, on first arriving in Manila in September 2006, I and the other interns from Canada, the US, and Germany were to have a welcoming service at the church's national office. Instead, we were greeted by the sight of a white coffin in the chapel. A wake was being held for Pastor Raul Domingo. He was an active advocate for human rights who was known for exposing and opposing abuses committed by the military and for criticizing the activities of mining companies and other projects that were affecting poor peasants and minorities. He was shot 4 times by 2 men riding a motorcycle. As you know, many of the political killings in the Philippines happened. Upon hearing of these killings of church members, Bishop Barloso, who is a leader in the UCCP, made a statement that I want to share with you because it continues to inspire me for hopeful action for justice in the face of this repression. He said, "Shall we seal our lips, close our eyes to the stark realities of our society, stuff our ears, keep our conscience domesticated, abort our dreams, and dim our vision for God's kingdom on earth? Surely not. Such a posture will be just another death. Death to the best in us, death to God's life that is in us, death to love, justice, freedom, peace." Bishop Barloso's words, and the example, vision, courage, and dedication of the many people I met in the Philippines who are striving for peace and democracy, give me hope that change will come. The UCCP refused to be silent in the wake of these and other murders of their members and other Filipino citizens. And the Assembly that month courageously passed a resolution condemning the killings and calling on the government to investigate and bring those responsible to justice. Tragically, the day after the resolution was passed, the brother of the man who had drafted the resolution was killed. His name was Noe Kapulong, and he was active in environmental advocacy and working with impoverished communities who are facing displacement. He was also Regional Deputy Secretary of Bayan Muna, a progressive political party that, as we heard from Roderick, has been very targeted in these killings.